Horizon Chance CG Rex, and this is Outward Review. Prepare to fry trademark edition by the channel ssethtzeentach. Quebec 2020 GDP growth forecast has increased to 2.1%. What does that have to do with this? This game is from 2019. Okay. This is famous video from him, 3.4 million views, so I guess it's gonna be good. Yeah, we'll see. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out other reaction I did. There's a link in the description. Check out the cards with the ink cards. And yeah, let's watch it.
Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be playing a video game. Usually, I don't. Have you ever wanted to survive a Russian winter using nothing but jam and herbal tea, traverse the desert during the day in the holy month of Ramadan, and die of heat stroke because you forgot to wear your turban, or lose private property to the state because the state finds you guilty of being alive? Welcome to Outward, which came out in March 2019. Could have fooled me because it feels like it came out of early access in March 2020. I'm kidding, Guillaume. It's actually pretty great, unlike French Canada, which refuses to join the 21st century. In Outward, you run hundreds of miles while not moving at all in real life, but also you play a shipwreck survivor in a relatable setting. You're broke, you're hideously deformed, and you're about to be homeless. As such, there's no better time to explore the mysteries of a great wide world, which is filled to the brim with experiences and adventures you won't forget. Or, in my case, you're gonna step out the front door of your village, get assaulted by goons, and get pressed into a life of heavy labor in the coal mines, where the dominant government is a strict meritocracy, standing by the noble principles of you don't work, you don't eat. Also, we got free drinking water.
Oh, okay. I can already see a trend here. This is, I guess, more somewhat like an Elder Scrolls type of game, but older one, like Morrowind or something, right? And I understand that, you know, as soon as you leave the town, a loading screen appears and then suddenly all enemies are there. But then again, let's be honest, the word goodbye comes from that, right? As soon as you leave the town in the olden times, God be with you. Because as soon as you leave any city or any city walls, that's it, you could die instantly.
The tapeworms inside it is completely optional. There's a lot to do in this game. Go fishing and catch yourself a nice pair of shoes. Get chased by wild poultry. Look back behind you and see the same poultry get chased by wild hyenas instead. Mine natural rock formations. Get attacked by unnatural rock formations. Acquire salt from the ground and from the tears of your enemies as you lure an entire bandit fortress into several miles of tripwire. Cure every disease by boiling beetles in hot liquid and calling it tea. Enjoy the weather in moderation. Enjoy the extensive lore and backplot. Just kidding, there's almost none. Enjoy dying in the hallowed...
Wow, the last 4 seconds almost sold me to this game. Look at the different type of maps and terrains. This is awesome.
Enjoy the weather in moderation. Enjoy...
Yeah, look at that. This is epic.
The extensive lore and backplot.
Towns and everything.
Kidding, there's almost none. Enjoy dying in the hallowed marsh because you accidentally clipped out of a collision box. Hope you didn't start the game on hardcore because there's a 1 in 5 Russian roulette gamble that your save game just got permanently deleted. Pick up a bow and quick scope your enemies. Remember to crouch so they don't see you. Don't worry, every enemy has to spend 1 spinal injury to process what's going on. Then they use the second arrow embedded in their chest to calculate the directional velocity vector of where those arrows might be coming from. Realize that enemies are pretending to be dead. Why else does this chicken keep screaming each time I beat its corpse? Explore new and amazing cave systems. Fun fact, they're pitch black.
Wait a minute, is that some kind of bug or a real feature of the AI? If you shoot somebody with an arrow, of course, first time you're gonna shoot it, second time they're gonna dodge or something. I'll load this shit. Then this is not just some Elder Scrolls game, it's a better Elder Scrolls game, at least by AI standards.
You can't see shit. Better pack a torch, strap a lantern to your pack, or better yet, light a campfire every 10 meters to trace your way back, because there's no map in the dungeon. There is a map of the area, but there's no magical GPS to tell you where you are. You gotta figure out your location and orientation using landmarks and natural geography. Let's say I need to head back to town, but where is town? Oh right, it's northwest of a gigantic screaming pylon. Go camping, get stabbed inside your your own tent. Take the eco-friendly option and grow your own biodegradable tent. It's more expensive, but hey, it's better for carbon emissions. Go to bed, get stabbed anyway. Go camping in town, because somehow there's no law against vagrancy in the market square, or against setting up bonfires, cooking appliances, and even a miniaturized meth lab in the middle of a street. The legal system in this game could use some work. There's also a lot you can't do in this game.
Oh my god, I don't want to pause so much, but that's still just 3 minutes in. This game has already sold on me because I love this whole element. First of all, you have to navigate just to see where you're going, right? I mean, this is just incredible. All that tenting and stuff. The game looks so good too. I don't know. Some maps looks like okay, graphics could be, graphics could use a bit of work here. But then again, other scenes and maps are like, oh, this looks epic.
Start, you can't level up. There's no leveling in this game. The same 4 bandits on a picnic can fuck you up at any stage of a game. So, how does one get stronger? 1. You go into a dungeon and loot it for every possible piece of gear. In this game, equipment is not made equal. The difference between a wooden fishing stick and a unique legendary spear is quite staggering. On top of that, you can craft your own weapons and armor, or get them custom built by the local blacksmith. In time, you can go from looking...
I'm not gonna lie, like that addition, that level system is not there, because sometimes, let's be honest, some simple fucking bandit, right? You upgrade your weapon, make a sick looking weapons with the enchantment and whatever magic and shit. Then you come across level 40 simple bandits with a fucking whatever raggedy ass armor, but he's a level 40, so he's supposed to fuck you up. It just feels weird. Like, come on, man. All this shiny looking armor, what this fucking raggedy ass looking bandit is fucking me up. Come on.
Homeless and malnourished to looking like this. These are achievable natty gains, dictated only by how much time and money you're willing to spend. There's a lot of different weapons with their own attack patterns, each having their own strengths and weaknesses depending on the enemy. 2. Skills. There's abilities, both actively and passively aggressive, taught to you by different trainers across the world. You can learn everything in the bottom half of each skill tree, but if you want to master the profession, you'll need to spend a breakthrough point, and you only get 3 of these per character. Combining certain skills and gear lets you roleplay a specific class, anything from a warrior to a holy warrior to an archer, a spellcaster, or even a pizza delivery boy. The possibilities are rather limited actually, but hey, it's there. Don't mind me, I'm just regretting my decision to run nothing but pistols, forgetting that these are 17th century single-use flintlock pistols that take an entire lunch break to properly load, all for the luxury of being able to do this. I didn't bring an antidote. And 3, the most important of all, food. Winning fights is all about what you put inside your mouth. Real champions eat.
How the fuck this game is not famous? Is there something that I'm missing? Is there some real fault to this game? Is story sucks so bad? Or is there some kind of a massive bug or something? Because the game looks incredible so far. Everything about this game is fucking epic. Making an open world RPG style game is not a joke. But if somebody pulls it off like this, how is this not famous? How the fuck I don't know about this? 20 years ago, if this game were made, I'm not talking about, the mechanical and graphical advantage. Let's say the game looks also 20 years old with everything. But all the things that they created, right? If they created the same way in 2001, 2002, this game would have been as famous as Elder Scrolls or something. I feel like in today's time, all these great games are being made and nobody's paying attention because everything has become mainstream so far. Everybody just looks to Bethesda and some major companies, and nobody even pays attention to any good games that's come out.
Eat like champions. Cierzo ceviche, luxe léchette, ragout de marais, and diadème de gibier is what those words sound like coming out of a foreigner's mouth. These are all French dishes that effectively translate to the same thing. 10 to 15 minutes of turbo stamina, health, and mana recovery. They also look delicious, so I tried to recreate them in real life, at which point they became biohazardous and I had to stop. Better stay hydrated as well, because that's another 3 minutes of stamina recovery, and that shit stacks. There's no quick and easy way of getting back your vitality, and, at least in the early game, potions are outside the coverage of your healthcare plan. So, if you hope to survive, you better learn how to cook some goddamn delicious meals, or convince your...
Yeah, cooking is not some joke, right? I watched some Sam video, I guess yesterday I uploaded a video where he talks about how kidney beans, right? If you boil it at what 100 degrees or something, yeah, it's eatable. If you don't boil it, it's poisonous. It will fuck you up. It has cyanide or something in it. But if you boil it at 70 degrees, it makes it even more dangerous. Like, this is just one kidney bean. God knows how many other foods are like that you have to know specific like that. So people are just like, oh, this is food. Let's just make some kind of a recipe and do it, whatever. So some people might be like, okay, you know what? I don't want to ruin the proteins and some nutrients from it, so I'm not going to boil it too much. That guy is fucked if something like kidney beans is concerned. So when it comes to food, I guess games should put features like, okay, you should know how to cook, right? If you don't, it'll be extremely poisonous.
Partner to do it instead. Also, losing your health and stamina will slowly burn it for the rest of the day, which means the longer you exert yourself, the weaker you become. There's only two ways about this: sleeping and drinking fuck tons of tea, which is a temporary solution at best, since Monster Energy will only be craftable in the upcoming expansion. For now, there's no such thing as caffeine. The safest option is sleeping in town, but
tea
more
is
often
caffeine.
than not, you'll have to camp in the wilderness or at the bottom of some disgusting pit with no natural sunlight, which most of us refer to as miscellaneous dungeon number 7. That may sound spooky until you realize high quality tents give you even more obscene stat bonuses, and getting
I feel like a child right now.
spooky until
With
you
all, oh, look at that, look at the sun. Is it sunset? I can't even see, is it east or what? It's west, right? I can see somewhat W. So, is it sunset? And oh my god, look at the tent on the hill. This scene is incredible. Oh, I love this.
high-quality tents give you even more obscene stat bonuses, and getting ambushed is just free money. Outward is an open-world RPG, which really focuses on the open world and vaguely remembers that role-playing has something to do with fashion. Outward takes place during the Old Testament, and as such, besides paying your blood debt to a dysfunctional tribal society, it doesn't give you much reason or motivation for doing anything. Just collect berries, make jam, reproduce, and die. If you keep your house, there's no more payments. If you don't, then just progress the story. Spoiler, you get back at your tribe anyway. Oh, what's that? A group of local warlords are planning to invade, and they're gonna teach everyone living here the meaning of the word gaping hole. I am incredibly invested in securing the future and livelihood of this backwater fishing village. However, I was too slow. Shame on me for packing 50 kilos of Weetabix. My home is destroyed. What a sad loss of life. Also, I don't owe money anymore because everyone is dead. This game has a hard time making me give a shit about the plot or any of the characters. The entire story is told to you through several lines of dialogue. I've read erotic fanfiction with a higher word count than this entire game. The dialogue...
See, this is one thing I don't understand, right? After playing a million mods from Skyrim, one thing I realized that even fans can create dialogues, right? There are certain... I don't know, in Skyrim there's this mod for Serena, right? Which has a shit ton of mods, and there are literal companions that somebody made, right? But it has more dialogues than all the companions combined in Skyrim. And this is just ridiculous. How can you add thousands of lines? Some fan in his, I guess, basement with some PC and some friends can create that. And any developers with any money can create some dialogues, man. I guess this was deliberate. I mean, they could have created dialogues, but they chose this kind of setup or something for more traditional feel from it. I don't know. They should have created some dialogue, right? I mean, how hard can that be? Finding some people to create dialogues, even if dialogues doesn't sound good, just having dialogue is fine. I mean, in today's culture, right, where people, I don't know, play YouTube in one window and play porn or something in one window and barely pay attention to anything, right? Asking people to actually read all the dialogues is kind of a strong thing. So I guess that could be one of the reasons why people are like, I don't know. That's, to me, being an RPG fan for a long time. For me, it's not an issue. I would be fine with that. But yeah, I can see how that could be a problem for most people.
Is voice acted, but voice acting is expensive. Hey, ever since Quebec left Canada, you can't call it a street anymore. It's a fucking war zone out there. And getting a voice actor alive into city limits with most of their limbs still attached, that's not happening. You're not going to survive a first dead zone without a paramilitary escort. And that's a cost the studio can't afford. Which is why they voice act the first 5 words in a sentence and stand around silently while you read the rest. Not like it makes a difference, because there's only 5 voice actors in this entire game who are incredibly talented to be able to vocalize vocalize so many different, unique characters. Who could forget the blacksmith?
What can I do for you?
Who is genetically identical to every other blacksmith ever conceived.
Want to buy something? What can I do for you? Want to buy something?
Whether naturally or by cesarean, the dude who sells fish.
Greetings, friend. Farewell.
Is there a mod support for this game? I'm pretty sure people can fix this, right? I mean, people can easily fix this if there's a mod support. Because, you know, small things like this, if done right, can be really immersive, let's just say. Immersion comes from a small thing like this, but obviously base has to be there. The game has to be good looking, mechanics has to be great, everything has to be 99.9% perfect. That last 0.1% or 0.001%, whatever that is, that every blacksmith has a different dialogue, you know, voice dialogue or something like that, is just cherry on top. That makes it more immersive experience. But if it's not there, it's fine too. But I think, you know, modders can definitely help with that.
my friend.
And of course, Cyrene, who prefers the crispy, smooth texture of Lucky Strikes. What's her secret? It's toasted. To truly appreciate the voice acting, I recommend going to the settings and putting the volume to 0. There is replayability to the story. In the sense, you can choose between 3 different factions. The same people who try to repossess your private property, the Holy Mission on a jihad against corruption, and the Sand People on a jihad against anyone who wants their oil. Can I be very blunt for a second? Each faction has a quest line. This is 4 missions long, and one of these is the same final quest with a different coat of paint. That's a little short, but I guess that's fine for an indie title that's only wait, how much? Are you aware that we're about to have a global recession? Creating a character is an intense experience
on,
where
man.
the men have a grand selection.
I feel like, you know, very few people made this game, but the game is way too good looking and way too overall, you know, nice. So I bet they put way too much time and effort into making this off, because they're gonna ask for $40. They're like, we put way too much time into this shit. I don't know. There is a game I forgot. Two Worlds. Two Worlds. Is that the name? I think it's Two Worlds, right? It got a, you know, I guess a remaster 2 recently. I think it's Two Worlds. Wait a minute. Let me check that. Oh yeah, it's Two Worlds. Two Worlds 2, not just any. Two Worlds 2. I remember playing that, you know, in, I guess, even before, no, wait a minute, not before, after I played Skyrim, right, in 2012. I remember playing that, and even at the time, I'm like, okay, this is not that good looking game. It felt not AAA, because I don't think it was, I don't remember. But it didn't felt AAA, it had, you know, visually it had issue. It felt depressing at certain points, just because how the music kind of was, how the whole feel and environment of it was. But something about the game was so good that I couldn't stop playing, right? The game was made in a way, all the system, all the armor system, how you progress through certain quests, how you know, go through the gaps to just, I guess, sneak into certain places, the enemies, how you go to cave and, you know, loot it, right? Whole looting system, whole armor and weapon system. The game was so good that you can even tint your armor, right? And there was different factions and things. The game was so fucking good, even though it had a depressing feel to it, just because of how it kind of looked in a way, how the music was. But the game was, in you know, at the core of it, so good that, you know, that's one of my favorite game ever. And this game doesn't even feel depressing. This game, just by looking at it, looks incredible. And now knowing all these factions, all these different type of equipments and things you can make, take, I guess, create alchemy and things. I don't know, these games, I have to play this game, man. I don't usually come across games like this.
Of 4 different faces. The women have it a little better. There's options for customizing your waist, thighs, and of course, mammaries. They even have 2 sliders for body positivity. I do, however, like the Asian face, and I also like this haircut. Everyone else looks like an alcoholic stepdad, a wife beater, or ninja from Fortnite. Those are your options. Enjoy. Walking. Walking is a fantastic form of cardiovascular exercise, just like long-distance jogging. Homo sapiens are uniquely adapted for such movement, which is why we traditionally hunted wild animals by running them down slowly for many miles. How is this relevant, Seth? Because in Outward, it's what you're going to be doing 90% of the time. The other 10% is managing your inventory. Here is footage of me taking a short, brisk sprint from one town to the next. Unfortunately, I had to cut this segment, as it would be longer than this entire video. I can finally understand why there's so many skeletons lying around.
This was 20 minutes long. Oh my god.
These were the people who came before me and died in the process of trying to review this game. Many will tell you this is part of a meaningful journey of holding down the shift key. Many will also tell you this is why there's no fast travel, because this is a game for hardcore gamers. However, nothing in this game can actually outrun you. You can safely ignore everything and auto-run to your destination. And there is actually an unconventional form of fast travel in this game. It's called throwing yourself down a mountainside and breaking your legs. You see, when your legs explode, they will instantaneously warp you to the nearest town. If
What?
you can't find a cliff, there's a second form of fast travel in this game. It's called swallowing a cyanide pill. This is a form of speedrunning discovered during the Nuremberg trials and has virtually the same effect. In this game, you don't really die. You have defeat scenario.
Oh my god, I love this shit. When I said this is like an older type game, Elder Scrolls Morrowind type games, I guess developers intended that way. They didn't kept fast travel in, right? That's why, the Todd Howard and everybody, basically in Oblivion and Skyrim, created fast travel. So later on, Seth doesn't, I guess fuck with their games. Like, oh, this is annoying. I don't know, man. I remember playing Morrowind, right? And I didn't mind traveling everywhere. And now if you talk to anyone, Morrowind fans, they'll say that it's as a feature. Like, there is no fast travel. That makes it more hardcore or whatever. But I can see how it can become really annoying if you don't have much time to play. As a kid, when you have 8-9 hours of play, like, who gives a fuck, right? You don't have to, I guess, do anything for a few days, something like that. It's fine, but if you don't have too much time, and you have to travel 20 minutes just for a location, that could become annoying.
Which is one of several random events that occur instead of death. These are unique to each area and depend on the circumstances of your untimely demise, but they didn't account for people intentionally dying as a means of teleportation. If you don't, can't, or won't use such exploits, then I
guess they might have
recommend
known.
speed hacking instead. You might frown upon me, but when you become gray and
I guess they knew that, but they deliberately put that in. Like, okay, they don't want people to just stop playing because of that shit. So fuck it, just kill yourself. You'll be at the next town or something.
old and your grandson asks you, "Grandpa, what did you do with all your time?" And you answer,
I spent the entirety of my youth holding down the shift key.
he'll look back at you, teary-eyed, and say, "Granddad, this is why we don't visit you. Tomorrow, I'm pulling the plug. Get fucked." I did have some memorable experiences in Outward. It's very beautiful, and the soundtrack is amazing. But if you want a real cinematic experience, turn on motion blur and let your eyes glaze over. There's still a lack of dialogue in this game, so I have to roleplay to fully immerse myself.
Yeah, any PC player that's been PC player for a long time frowns upon any motion blur. Anybody plays with motion blur, everybody just looks at him angrily like, why the fuck are you playing with motion blur?
Sometimes I stand around the giant village pretending that I'm a small boy helping out the kebab stand for my Albanian father. Exploring is a measured, careful experience since you'll often get overwhelmed by enemies unless you come prepared. Luckily, I can always tell what's out there because they always spawn into existence T-posing in the middle of the sky. I find this very entertaining. In this game, there's no such thing as over-prepared, only the fine line between survival and death. I took that advice to heart, and I've never
Weapons
actually
ridiculous.
seen a boss fight in this entire game. All I could ever see was a fade to black, followed by the sounds of multiple explosions. You see, most of the skill trees are generally interesting, but then there's Rogue Engineer, which lets you do this. I have spent the entirety of my game time breaking the game with pressure plate traps. As such, I have no idea how combat works. I only know how many pressure plates
part
are
of the game,
necessary
though.
for each encounter. The answer to which is, how much space do you have? I did hear people call combat clunky, and I sympathize, because the range on those fucking daggers
I can imagine the character being as that V from Metal Gear Rising, right? Just reading the book like, oh, I can't be bothered with training and weapons and swords and shit. Here's some traps.
is about the length of a toddler's arm, so I really recommend using two-handed weapons instead. They swing harder, but most importantly, they swing wider, so you're more likely to clip something in the face, even if they're dodging. Oh yeah, this game's got a great combat system, because it's broken. There's nothing to explain, except don't get hit or you'll get stun-locked and die. It's pure cheese, and the same works on your enemies. You smack them hard enough until they fall, and then you beat the shit out of them as they try to get up. For
Is that really broken? I mean, is it a realistic? if you give somebody concussion, stun them, right? I mean, there's a high chance that they will never, be normal. If you just hit the shit out of them, they're gonna be, down, I guess. I mean, as a game mechanic, sure, that feels broken. I guess they should have put some kind of a feature in that makes people harder to stun or something.
Reason, engaging multiple enemies is risky. It's better to try and pick them off at a distance, kite them into tripwire, or just hit them between loading screens. I hope you bought an SSD because this game takes a while to load. Remember, in Outward, there's no such thing as fair play. If it works, it's a valid means of achieving your goals. There's nothing dishonorable about impaling your enemies and running away while they bleed to death. They're also easily distractible, as I found one of the most effective weapons to be your legs, which you can use to lure bandits into death traps. As their friends get ripped apart by the local wildlife, you can jump in and loot the body
This is
for
as
monetary
endless
gain.
as it
Some
gets.
enemies, however, don't respond well to physical assault. In this case, you smear caviar on your Kleenex tissues and kill them anyway. When might fails, magic prevails, as do pizza-based attacks. I mention magic, yet you don't start with it. Learning how to cast spells is a journey in itself. You first have to reach a magical ley line. However, the only one around is inside Conflux Mountain. You'll know it when you see it, because it kinda stands out. Inside the mountain, you can take several different paths to get there. I took the most treacherous because I was told by the heavily armed paladin at the door that it's also the shortest. He proved this point by getting his face crushed immediately after. Naturally, I left him dead on the floor and ran like a bitch. There was nothing magical about this experience. It wasn't until the next day that I dared to go back, together with better gear and a billion tripwires. Marching through the darkness, eventually, I reached the ley line, where the game offered me the ability to use mana, in exchange for a permanent sacrifice of my health and stamina. At such generous exchange rates, how could I say no? After all that preparation, hardship, and the trauma of...
Okay, wait a minute. So from this quest, the first time you can use mana, otherwise you couldn't have. Is that it? So this is the first time you unlock magic through a quest type of thing? Oh, this is so good.
How could I say no? After all that preparation, hardship, and the trauma of seeing a man get ripped apart in front of me, I got the ability to cast this piece of shit. Have I been scammed?
What?
No, not at all. Well, maybe, but the sacrifice is permanent, so let's just accept that I made a mistake. In this game,
You can
spells
find
are
more
useless
magic,
on
can't
their
you?
own, but combined together become incredibly potent. If I first inscribe a sigil of fire on the floor, which requires the use of expensive reagents, any spark I cast turns into a fucking fireball. Holy shit. You can learn a bunch of unrelated spells only to find out their synergy much later. For example, I never understood the point of Reveal Soul until I realized it also works with spark. Goodbye mana potions. Hello, consuming a dead man's soul for free mana. And when I don't want to consume, I cast Conjuration and enslave him to be my undead follower. If I get into rune
game
magic,
is
the
great,
runes
man.
do nothing, but when two are strung together in sequence, produce different effects. If I train on to learn arcane syntax, I get to use the more powerful 4-word sequences instead. Or if I join the Cabal of Wind, I can summon a Sigil of Wind, provided I've activated the regional totem, because the 5 winds won't listen if they don't know you. Inside, sparks become thunder, conjuration cooks the area, and any bullet I load into my pistol turns into this. Now, there is a problem with
Oh
this
my
system.
god, so basically that quest gives you magic and just give you one shitty magic to do. But that's not a one shitty magic, that's the base of things. You can discover lots of different things that combined with that creates a really powerful magic type of thing. It's just incredible, man. I like the complexity there. Oh, this game is good.
There's a lot of abilities, a lot of
Wait a minute, what?
skills,
Are they-
many of them which can and should be combined because that's what we're told to do. It's what the game encourages, but you can't. The reason for this is you only get 8 quick slots. That's a grand total of 8 different hotkeys in a game where you frequently need about twice that number. There are mods to fix this, but they break on every patch. I know this game is designed for consoles, but hear me out. They're not to blame. You know who is? The French
Fucking consoles.
Canadians. Why the fuck is there no button to toggle the hotkeys? Just add an extra key. Come on, there's space for it. Final Fantasy XIV managed to do it, and they did it on a brick, which has 2 buttons welded together in concrete. Please, Guillaume, hear my
This in
plea.
PS4.
Please. I even pronounced your name correctly this time. For everything bad I said, there's also good. It's called 2-player co-op, and it completely rescues the game. Outward is one of the only modern games with local split-screen co-op. This is stuff straight out
I don't even know if Seth dissed the game or something, because as soon as I saw this setup, right, this type of setup, open world, this kind of a fantasy type of setting, all these different features, my mind just goes into different setting that I don't hear any criticism from there. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at how pretty that looks. Oh, look at all these features. This game is incredible. Seth makes some jokes that how shitty certain point is. I don't even hear that.
Out of a 2000s, and it works great. The difficulty scales with 2 people, and honestly, it feels almost perfect. Everything can either knock you out or outright kill you in a single swipe, which makes your victories and progress together all the more meaningful. I tried to play online, but unfortunately, my copy of the game has some connectivity issues. Also, none of my friends play Outward, so we played Company of Heroes 2 instead. I found that satchel charges are very similar in function to pressure plates. The only difference is that I got the instant gratification of hearing my friend scream each time he got baited into the exact same trap. I give Outward's multiplayer a 10 out of 10. I had a lot of fun, we were very immersed, and we learned a great deal about ragdoll physics. In summary, Outward is an Italian cooking simulator designed to be played with your girlfriend. Outward provides an interesting, measured, and slow experience that gets diluted by all the hours of walking. I skipped the walking, saved my sanity, and saw the game for what it is, a beautifully ambitious gem of a game. Yet that gem is
You're gonna kill me with those visuals.
for what it is, a beautifully
What is this? Look at that. A massive statue or something.
ambitious gem of a game. Yet that gem is uncut and uncircumcised. It's rough around the edges, but it shines best as a cooperative action RPG. And there's clearly a lot of love put into it. If you're willing to forgive all that, there's a lot to enjoy. And supposedly, the upcoming expansion will add more post-game content. I give this game a 15 out of $45, which is the price I'm willing to pay for it. And I asked GOG to put it on discount according to my score. Follow my link, and until June 15th, you get screwed a little less by our corporate masters. If you're watching later and you missed out, have a look at this. The game is always on discount. It just rotates across stores. Of course, you can always get a bigger discount, but by that I mean going to your friend's house and trying it for yourself. Except
I knew. I was expecting where is he gonna go to the pirated way, because I know he's gonna talk about that.
your friend's name is Trusted VIP Uploader, and his house is an IP address. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned.
Man, Seth is just epic, man. I love how every time he goes to he has powers, right? To talk to this kind of the different type of sellers, right? Massive sellers, and tell them to, put these games, in discount or something, right? Just to, he has influence enough to do that shit. And at the same time, see, in every game he says, oh, you can take it for free, and just hints at the pirated thing. This is incredible. I don't know why, Seth didn't just point blank said that this game is incredible, because he actually played it. But that's not the point. Overall, every single map there, it's good that there is no fast travel, right? Because so far every location is shown, right? There is always some kind of a structure, some kind of a feature here and there that just looks epic. In any open world, like Elder Scrolls type game, right? Any open world game, that is one of the best thing a player can ask for. During the journey, seeing different kind of structures, architectures that you're like, oh, this is great. It makes, I guess, journey memorable. And things like this do exist in this game. They could have just easily made some mountain, some hill here and there, fuck it, some grass, some desert, and that's it. But no, they put a different type of effort to it, right? Different great looking areas, great looking structures here and there while you journey over things. All the different type of combat, things, this magical thing that he talked about, how you can, tune your magic that way. It's a complex structure. Poisoning, this and that. I don't know, game looks epic to me. It checks all the boxes that are really important to make any RPG open world game like this. I know when I say RPG, the main thing of RPG is also storytelling and how you approach things and how there's a role-playing aspect to it. I understand that. But I don't know, as an overall game, this looks great. I definitely am going to check this out because I love games like this. Like I said, Two Worlds 2. There was many issues in that game, right? If somebody plays it, doesn't really give it a chance, if you feel like, oh, this is depressing, let's shut it off. But some features of that was really good that, I couldn't stop playing the game. But this looks even better than that. So anytime a games like this come, I'm like, oh, this is just epic. Alright, people, that was Outward's review. Prepare to Fry Edison by the channel ssethtzeentach. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, check out the reaction, there's a link in the description, check out the cards, check out the cards, yeah, I'll see you next time.